Alright, this is John Colo with DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. Before I go on, I want to remind you guys to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on any of my new and upcoming episodes. Anyways, as you guys know, I basically make videos to promote appliances that allow you to eat more fruits and vegetables and other whole plant-based foods. So the demonstration I'll be doing today is actually what is the best machine, that's not a blender, to make nut milk, right? Is it a juicer or is it the Nutramilk, nut milk and nut butter maker? And that's the question we'll be answering today. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into the video, I want to talk about making nut milk, right? There's many videos that Hurom has actually put out over the years on showing how to make nut milk in the Hurom juicer. And to me, the Hurom, it's a great juicer, aside from actually the short warranty and maybe the lack of customer support in the United States from things I've heard from customers themselves. But the thing is, it's a great juicer because that's how they designed it. And then they thought they'd add on like, well, oh, it's a juicer, well, what else can it do? So let's put this in our marketing material. Oh, let's say it could make nut milk, right? And so, yes, it can make nut milk, but the question is, how good of a nut milk maker really is it when using it solely for making nut milk without getting any other appliances involved? And that's actually what we're going to discover, right? And so as you know, this is a juicer designed for juicing, right? Next, let's talk about the Nutramilk machine, right? The Nutramilk machine was only spawned on by actually the owner of the company, actually, who likes to drink coffee, and he went to a local coffee shop, and he's on a plant-based diet, and he doesn't want to have like the creamers out of dairy, or he doesn't want to like have things in the creamers like all the monodiglycerides and the carrageenan and the different additives and preservatives and sugars and stabilizers they add to like the alternative milks that are out there. So he's like, well, maybe there should be an appliance actually so that coffee shops could actually make their own nut milks and serve fresh nut milks along with their high-end coffee to people. And that's how the Nutramilk was born, right? The owner of the company wasn't maybe smart enough to design it himself, so he basically reached out to college students and found some people that are into engineering and all this kind of stuff, and basically got them to design the best appliance, literally from the ground up. They've experimented many different ways to what's the best way to make the best nut milk with the least amount of waste that tastes the best, right? And the Nutramilk is actually what they came up with, right? So not only is the Nutramilk designed and made to make the nut milks, it also will make the nut butters. But it doesn't stop there, because basically this is a specialized food processor, right? It'll also make smoothies, it'll also make dips and spreads, and basically a lot of other things a food processor can do with these really cool tines that actually wipe down the sides of the container inside there. And Nutramilk, from what I hear, is coming out with different attachment bowls on here, so you could just basically have a standard food processor bowl and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to it. And if you really want to, not that I would recommend this, you could technically use this to kind of juice. You could put whatever you're juicing in there, like watery things only, of course, like fruits with some water, and then basically use the screen that's built in to sift out and get the liquid, keeping all the pulp behind. That being said, I don't recommend the Nutramilk for making juice, just like I'm probably not going to recommend, as you guys will learn, the Hurom are using solely a juicer for making the nut milk. Alright? So now that you guys have a story on that, the other thing about the Nutramilk you will want to know is that this is made to NSF certification standards, or sanitation standards. What does that mean? That means this is a full-on commercial machine. It has a heavy-duty motor, definitely more powerful than the Hurom motor over there. And this can be used in restaurants, juice bars, to serve fresh nut milk to your customers, right? And even if you guys don't own a restaurant or juice bar, know that you literally, when you buy Nutramilk, you're getting a heavy-duty commercial product that can be used in commercial establishments, right? And maybe you're going to love it so much, you're going to want to start making it for your friends and start to sell it too. And I think that's great, right? So yes, this is a completely commercial unit, whereas, the Hurom or other juicers are not commercially certified for heavy-duty use. Okay, so that's a very important point. The other thing that I like about the Nutramilk is that it's going to come with this nice full color recipe book. I mean, this is over 200 recipes in here. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera there, but over 200 recipes. And look at this nice book, man, like full color pictures of all the delicious recipes you can make. I mean, this is a turmeric, ginger, mango, Brazil nut milk, right? And that's the thing, right? I want you guys to create your own nut milks, your own juices at home, not be slave to whatever the store is selling you, right? If you want nut milk and you got to go to the health food store, you know, you're going to buy the rice milk, the oat milk, or the almond milk, and then you can't choose like what additives are put in there. Maybe you want vanilla flavoring, or maybe you want chocolate flavoring. Maybe you don't want that sugar in there. Maybe you don't want the artificial preservatives. If you have your own Nutramilk machine, you're going to save tons of money in the long run, but more importantly, you're going to have a higher quality product because you are going to know exactly what goes into it, and you're going to literally make it with your own two hands. Plus, you could customize it, right? If you don't like to put white sugar in your foods like I don't like to do, but I would surely put fresh mango. How about a mango macadamia nut milk? That sounds really good. Or you could put dates or figs or other dried fruits to basically flavor up your milk. And the cool thing about the Nutrimilk, unlike any other way of making the nut milk, is that this is more of a whole food nut milk machine, and never before in the whole history of the United States or anywhere in the world has there been any appliance like this, because literally it takes the whole nut, turns it into butter, you add the water, and then there is very little pulp left over. As you'll see in the Hurom here, it's going to leave a lot of nut pulp that still has fiber in there, and there's still some nutrients in there, whereas a Nutrimilk basically just grinds that all up into small particles that you'll never detect in your mouth when you're drinking your nut milk. So it's going to have a richness and creaminess that is to the next level that you're not going to find in most nut milks, especially when they don't add any thickeners, you know, or stabilizers like many of them do. Anyways, in this recipe booklet here, they got butters, smoothies and bowls, dips and spreads, coffees and teas, and different treats and different things you can make in the Nutrimilk. So when you purchase this from Discount Juicers, you will get this 200 recipe book in here, which is actually really nice. That's a thick book there. And then the other thing you guys are going to get, you know, a nice 100% glass carafe, and this measures up to 2 liters or 8 cups, and this is the perfect size to basically put under the Nutrimilk to catch all the nut milk you're going to make, and then basically put this in the fridge to store it. So you're storing your nut milk in glass, not in plastic. So that's amazing. This is also going to come with it. And that's also the capacity of this machine. It can make up to 8 cups or 2 liters of nut milk in one sitting from only 2 cups of nuts. So that's actually also going to lower your costs, as you guys will see in a minute, compared to using a Hurom, which literally it eats nuts, really. It eats nuts. So before we go on, I want to remind you guys, actually, if you enjoy my videos, want to help me support my work so I can continue to make these videos and many other videos on YouTube, I would encourage you guys to support me by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. We sell the Nutrimilk as well as many of the vertical slow juicers that can make nut milks. I'll post links down below. Your purchase at Discount Juicers allows me to continue my work, which I love doing, and I'm glad you guys support me. You guys are going to get the same exact manufacturer's warranty whether you buy it from me or any other authorized retailer. We are an authorized retailer of the Nutrimilk, and I will let you guys know this also. We do have a price match policy, so should you find any of the appliances or items we offer anywhere else for a lower price, just let me know, and I'll be glad to match the price if it's an authorized dealer selling brand new merchandise and they have the item in stock. Alright? So on with the show. I think the next thing I want to do is actually just want to get into making the nut milk, timing, and showing you guys how long it takes and the exact process. So now we're all set up with the ingredients we're going to need to make the almond milk. Super simple, super easy. We're not adding anything additional. Literally, for the Nutrimilk, we're using basically 2 cups of almonds, unsoaked, just right out of the bulk bins, literally. And then we have 8 cups of, in this case, coconut water. You could use standard filtered water, but, you know, once again, if you guys are making your own nut milks, you guys get to choose what is the liquid you want to put in there. Personally, I like to use the coconut water because it actually has lots of different antioxidants and vitamins and minerals. And electrolytes in there, and so and it makes the nut milk actually taste better, frankly. And so we got 2 cups, and 8 cups. And meanwhile, on the Hurom side, and these are manufacturer's recommended amounts. This is what they recommend in the Nutramilk manual. Likewise, in the Hurom instructions, basically they tell you if you want to make nut milks, first step is you got to take 2 cups of nuts, which I did. We took 2 cups of nuts and I soaked them in water overnight. So that basically expanded into like maybe almost 4 cups of the nuts there. Super important, right? So we soaked them overnight. So that's 8 hours into the process now, technically, on these guys. And then they want you to use, basically, for every 1 cup of nuts, they want you to add 1 cup of water, or in this case, I'm using coconut water. So we started with 2 cups unsoaked nuts. We're using 2 cups of coconut water, right? And that's the 2 cups there. So you could instantly see just by, we're starting with 2 cups of the same almonds. This one's basically going to make 8 cups of coconut milk, or almond milk, sorry. And this one's only going to make 2 cups of the almond milk. So let's go ahead first. And they want you to add the water to the almonds. Very important. And this is actually after you drain and rinse your almonds after soaking, because they do get kind of nasty there. So first we're going to go ahead and make the almond milk with the Hurom. And to do that, we got first the stopwatch app here, so you guys can see actually how long it takes me. And we're going to go ahead and hit the start button and start her up and turn it on. So basically, they want you to take a ladle and ladle out even portions of nuts and coconut water, or the water, at the same time, and put it through the machine and make sure your spout cap is closed in there. And what's going to happen is the juicer is going to basically grind up and juice the nuts, literally. And the nuts do need to be soaked, and they need to be soft in order for this to work. Otherwise, it's really not going to work well. As you guys can see, the chamber here is filling up with the almond milk here. And as you guys can see out this side, we're basically getting the ground up almond pulp. So what we're going to do is just to save you guys some time, where I'm just going to speed this up for you guys. You can see me feed this in and try to basically get even amounts of the water and the almonds being fed in to the Hurom. Alright, so as you guys can see, basically our bowl in the Hurom is basically almost filled up. So I don't want to like overfill it. So we're going to go ahead and let all the nut milk recreate it out currently. And that's going to go ahead and drain down. And then we're going to go ahead and put the stopper back on. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest. Alright, so I'm down to the last 2 almonds and coconut water. I did a pretty good job at using all the coconut water and the almonds at the same time. We're going to go ahead and put the last few in there. And we're just going to go ahead and let this continue to run until basically the pulp stops flowing out. That's your sign that the machine is actually basically done grinding and mixing. And what's happening inside the machine, there's a single auger in there that's rotating. And as it's rotating, it's literally grinding up the nuts, releasing all their juice, or in this case the milk, and it's adding it to the liquid that's circulating around inside there. I mean, I think pretty much this pulp has stopped, so we're just going to go ahead and now open the spout cap and let our delicious nut milk out. So now we started out with basically 2 cups of the coconut water, and we pretty much have the 2 cups of the coconut water that came out. Oh, and then we've turned that off, and looks like we're at basically 3 minutes and 50 seconds, so just under 4 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and reset that. And you saw I did have to do some amount of work. You know, I had to feed this in, I had to properly gauge the amount of water and almonds to put in. You know, that's not the funnest thing I like to do personally. But now I want to show you guys a very easier way, you know, a way that you didn't even have to start 8 hours ago to soak your almonds, because this will not juice hard almonds. They need to be soaked. And we're going to use a Nutramilk for that, so we're just going to go ahead and open this baby up. And the first step on the Nutramilk is just basically take off the top. Super simple, super easy. The first step is just put your almonds in there, right? So we're just going to pour the almonds in there, make sure our wiping blade is all the way in there. Then we're going to go ahead and put our lid on. Super important. Lock it into place, put this guy down, And then all we're going to have to do is we're going to hit the butter button, right? It defaults to 16 minutes. And so the first step of making the nut milk in the Nutramilk with any nut is first grinding the nuts into a butter. So you could have a delicious almond butter in this case. And every nut is a little bit different depending on the nut you're using, how dry it is when you get it. Some humid environments, you know, maybe more or less time depending on the nut. It may be harder or softer, it may happen a lot faster. I do know on the almonds generally you don't need 16 minutes, you might be 12 to 13 minutes, so we're going to put it to 13, but please be aware you may need to modify this and adjust this for your specific environment and for your specific nuts. Okay, so we put it down to 13 minutes, and all we have to do now is hit start. So I got that stopwatch running. It's basically going to run now for 13 minutes, turning my almonds into an almond butter. I'm going to get up and do some other things while this is working because I don't need to babysit it like on the Hurom. Alright, so the Nutramilk has been running now for almost 13 minutes. It's got 8 seconds until it turns itself off, and then you have to do some intervention. This whole time, once again to remind you guys, I wasn't even here. This machine was just running. After it's done, it turns itself off. You're then going to go ahead and lift this up for the next step. Of course, if you just wanted nut butter, you could open this up and eat all your delicious nut butter. This is a nice creamy style nut butter. We don't want nut butter, we want nut milk. At this point, we're going to add 8 quarts of the coconut water right here. Or I'm sorry, 2 quarts of the coconut water, 8 cups. At this point, this is the stage that you could also add flavoring if you want to add some cinnamon powder or mangoes or different kinds of dried fruits or whatever. You'd be able to add it in this step. Then you're going to go ahead and put the top back on. Put this down, and then you're going to go ahead, go to the selection over here, and go to the mix. It's going to default to 1 minute, and then we're going to hit the start button. And basically now the machine turns on, and now it's mixing all the delicious nut butter with the water, in this case the coconut water, and you can see that it's basically extracting out of the holes on the side of the inside. And the inner chamber basically has all the thick nut concentrate with the water, and as it's running, it's extracting the nut milk that's actually coming out. And this happens fairly quickly. It's basically it counts down once it's below a minute. We're down at 23 seconds. So we're just going to go ahead and let this run out, and then we're going to do the next step. So far, we have 14 minutes, 33 seconds elapsed. Alright, so it just shut off, and now it's fully mixed, and now we can press the dispense button. It's going to go to 1 minute, and we're going to hit the start button again. And now it's basically running some more, and and we're ready to dispense. So now we're just going to go ahead and hit this tab, and now all the delicious nut milk made in the Nutramilk without my intervention, aside from adding the liquid, pressing a few buttons, right? I'm not having to ladle stuff in, it's just coming out super simple, super easy. Inside you guys can't see, but it's basically still mixing around in the inner chamber. The outer chamber is basically at this point draining out. As the outer chamber drains out, the inner chamber is still kind of like rotating around and trying through centrifugal force action to basically get some of the nut milk out of the inner chamber into the outer chamber. And only if it comes to the outer chamber, then will it be dispensed you know, into the collection cup to make your own nut milk. In this way, you're going to basically keep, you know, some of the pulp and the big chunks out of your nut milk. It does all the straining for you. And basically now it's turned itself off, and if you don't think you got it all, you can go ahead and hit dispense again and hit start and let it run a little bit more. And then sometimes I like to just basically tip this guy up, help it out with getting every last bit out. I think we're down to the dregs here. We're getting a really thick nut milk, and I think we're pretty much about out. I mean, now it's basically just dripping. So I guess at that point we'll hit the stop button, and then we'll hit the stop button over here. And so the whole process of making my own nut milk in the Nutramilk took longer. It took about 16.5 minutes. whereas the Hurom took 3 minutes, but then you got to add also the 8 hours of soaking, plus also, you know, a little bit more work. But, you know, the thing is, how much nut milk do we make? Let's go ahead and turn off that spigot. And over here, it looks like we have just about 2 quarts, or 8 cups. And over on this side, if we look at that, you guys can clearly see we have about 2 cups. Or actually, no, we have more than 2 cups, actually, probably up to like 3 cups, because we had the water from the soaked almonds that were soaked in the almonds, and then we had the 2 cups of coconut water that we started with. So actually, we made 3 cups. So same amount of almonds, 2 cups of almonds made 8 cups here, 3 cups here. Now the question is, how do these guys taste? And that's what we're going to find out next. We got 2 cups right here. We're going to go ahead and put 1 cup there, 1 cup here, and we're going to actually fill up the nut milk in the cups. But before I do, actually, I want to strain it out to show you guys, if you strain out like 1 cup full using the same exact sieve, you know, what kind of particulate is in there. So let's go to try to rotate around. So in the Hurom juicer, pouring this nut milk through. All the way up to the top. Let that sit a little bit. Now we're going to pour from the Nutramilk. And I've never done this before. I've never done a side-by-side test like this, so it's going to definitely be interesting. Wow, this is really interesting. So you guys saw me just pour off. I poured off almost even amounts. Let me go ahead and pour a little bit in here so we have it even, Steven. And we'll shake these guys down, and look at this. In the Nutramilk, how much pulp was left, you know, in big chunks that didn't go through my fine sieve? Like, I basically don't see, I see a few, like, some of the shell fragment pieces, but like, I mean, for all practical purposes, that's like nothing. You guys can see that in the camera. That's basically nothing. That's super uber impressive, right? Now, on the Hurom, even though it's supposed to be making a nut milk, look at all the fiber and pulp that was still left in there. Look at that, right? That's a lot of fiber still left in there. Maybe you like some nut milk with some fiber that's in large chunks. Hey, it's in there. Once again, the Nutramilk is like that, basically like nothing. So super impressive on the Nutramilk. Now, the other thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and do a taste test. So we're going to go ahead and taste test this Nutramilk. So I do taste the particulate in there, but it's really fine and not obnoxious at all, because it is ground up to a fine size, so it actually went through that sieve. And then now we're going to go ahead and taste the milk from the Hurom. Wow. I wish you guys were here to taste this, right? It's a big difference. I mean, no doubt, that tastes like milk, but it tastes like your non-fat milk. You ever have non-fat milk before you got off dairy, or maybe you never had dairy? Non-fat milk tastes really watery from my recollection as a kid, because that's what my parents would get me, because it's supposed to be healthier. That's like this juice, or this milk. Now on the Nutramilk, let's go ahead and taste that again. That's a much more rich, creamy, delicious milk. There's some fine particulate that was able to go through the sieve, but it's barely detectable, so it's not objectionable to me. I'm not going to say it's like a whole milk. That'd probably be lying, because it's not super whole, but it's definitely like super close. Maybe, I don't know, what is it? I forget the different grades of milk now. But anyways, that's a rich and full-bodied milk, because it has virtually all that ground up fat, the goodness, some of the fiber that's in small particle sizes. I mean, that's in here. It tastes much better. Also, you're getting a much better value, right? 2 cups of almonds through the Hurom juicer made 3 cups of watery milk, and 2 cups of almonds in the Nutramilk made 8 cups of a delicious, rich milk. Now, here's the thing. I want to show you guys what's left here. So, right, this is why this milk is creamier than the one made in the Hurom. In the Hurom, it ejected all this right here. Now, if you do baking, this is great. This stuff is great. You could basically dehydrate this into like an almond flour or an almond meal. It's fairly dry. Let me see if I taste this. I mean, I don't like eating that stuff, but so anyways, on the Nutramilk, let me show you guys what's left. So yeah, I mean, you got some overspray here on the top that you could, like, you know, take your finger and you could eat. Basically, this is watered down nut butter. That's actually tastier than that, but I'm still not eating this stuff. This is getting, like, rinsed down the sink or put in my compost. But more impressively, let's see what's left inside here once again. Inside there, inside here. You know, for those of you guys that like want to get the maximum nutrition, where are you getting more nutrition? When you're leaving all this behind, or when you're basically leaving this behind, which is basically, I mean, there's basically almost like nothing in there. There's a little bit of dregs in the bottom that didn't come out. Some of the, actually what this is doing, this is keeping mostly the skin, you know, that's actually might have the different phytates and things in there. It might not be good to eat anyways. That's actually leaving the skin inside, but you're getting the majority of the delicious almond goodness into your milk. Actually, I like this one a lot, actually. Quite good, but I mean, you guys can't really see a color difference, although if you guys look close, I don't know if you guys can see that on the HD camera. You can see more particulate in here, but once again, that particulate is super fine, even fine enough to go through my fine sieve here. And yeah, definitely more delicious. So, you know, there you guys have it, right? Which is the better appliance to make? Nutmilk. Well, it depends what you want to do, right? Of course, the best tasting and the best value for the investment of the nuts is the Nutramilk, right? The Hurom or other juicers just pouring nuts and the water into the machine, in my opinion, that's not a good way to make nut milk. Juicer companies should not advertise making nut milk in that fashion. You know, might be good for a marketing kind of ploy to sell more juicers, but let's be honest, I mean, this is really watery and it's not the best. If you want the best, get the machine that is designed from the ground up to make nut milk, and you know, from all the nut milk machines ever tested, including, you know, other ones that also make soy milk. I mean, those ones make really water. You thought this one was watery, the watery milk on the Hurom. The soy milk, nut milk makers really make a watery milk, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. This will make the creamiest, richest milk and give you the most flexibility to add whatever you want for sweeteners, for flavors, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to make nut milk, you just want the best appliance, in my opinion, you found it in this video. It's the Nutramilk. This stuff is absolutely delicious. So good. So I'm gonna have to go ahead and declare the winner of this nut milk off. The Nutramilk. You know, I mean, it was designed from the ground up to make the nut milk. It does it extremely well. Of course, also it's going to make your nut butters. So instead of buying nut butters with additives and hydrogenated oils that I think they actually now no longer can put in, you can make your own nut butters out of 100% nuts and any nut that you want, right? And any mixture of nuts. You know, I like to add like macadamia nuts plus, you know, pistachios or whatever, and you could add other flavors to your nut butters like dried fruits. You could add cacao nibs, you know, whatever. So I really love the flexibility that the Nutramilk allows you to make your own creations at home so that you can be creative, make things that taste good, that'll taste good for you and your family. Now, be alert, be forewarned. This nut milk is fresh nut milk, unlike a nut milk from the store in a sealed package that will last for months or years on a shelf. This guy should be drank within the next, you know, 5 to 6 days. You know, for better storage, put it in a sealed container in the fridge. Even better than that, put it in a sealed container under vacuum in the fridge. And I have videos on how to vacuum store your juices. I'll put a link down below, but you could vacuum store your nut milks in the same way so that it doesn't go bad as quickly. That being said, what you guys will learn is that this nut milk is so delicious, it's not even going to be around your house for 5 to 6 days. You could take it to your work, share it with friends and co-workers, you know, especially when you flavor it up. They're going to love it. You know, I have several customers that have gotten back to me and like, John, I love my Nutramilk because I can make all these things, and now they're getting their whole office onto drinking more plant-based milk instead of animal-based milk. You know, in my opinion, the plant-based milks are a lot healthier for you than the animal milks. In addition, they're also better for the planet. So in any case, Please be sure to share this video with somebody else that wants to find the best nut milk maker that's made to date at present time that I'm aware of anyways. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you'll be notified of my new and upcoming episodes that are coming out every 5 to 7 days. You never know what new appliance you'll be learning about that allows you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables and other whole plant foods. Also be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. I'll put a link down below to a more complete video of using the Nutramilk for those of you guys that want to see more about how it works directly. That'll be in the description, also in the comments below. And if you guys are looking to buy a juicer or a Nutramilk, I would encourage you guys to support me in my work by making your purchase at discountjuicers.com. Once again, links are down below in the description and as the first comment. So with that, my name is John Kohler with discountjuicers.com. Be sure to visit discountjuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors like I am.